All right. Back at it again. Cash from Cash Media. In NFL Week 1 is about to conclude, right? I'm tuning into the Vikings and the Chicago Bears game right now. But I want to tap into the first week of NFL, which was, in my opinion, very exciting to say the least. This was probably like one of the most exciting NFL Week Ones I feel that I've seen in a while. You know, there were a lot of good games that stood out to me. We all know about the game yesterday with the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens, right? That was a crazy game in and of itself. But I'm going to tap into the other things, and I'm even going to follow along with the Vikings and Bears game also, which is about to start in about like 15 minutes or so. But why not, right? Like if y'all can tap in, y'all can join in. I mean, y'all can tap in with me, uh, and go long for however long. Just make it. So like with this game in particular, Vikings and Bears, what are we expecting out of these teams, right? So or what's my opinion to expect out of these teams? I don't really know what to suspect out of the Minnesota Vikings, right? Like with JJ McCarthy, he's due to make his first NFL debut, technically as a rookie, right? Technically, uh, and so we know that the Vikings last year that they had Sam Darnold, right? He was the starting QB. But now he is with the Seattle Seahawks, which lost their game yesterday, right? So there's some speculation as to how the Vikings are going to look. We know they had one of the best defenses last year, one of the best pass protections, and that they recently, they signed. Pardon me. That they signed. What's it called? What's his name? Aaron Aaron Jones, the running back, right from the Packers. I hope I got his last name right. Um, so the Vikings are somewhat, a competitive team, but I think there's more to be said about that, due to the speculation of how they finished off. They didn't really end the season off as a number one seed or as a top seeded team. Um, but lo and behold, it's a new season, new campaign, a lot of different expectations for what's to come. Right. So I think this is a pretty dope matchup, right? Because first and foremost, right, we have this situation with the Chicago Bears. They've been trying to get right with the quarterback position for God knows how long. They had previously drafted Justin Fields, as we well know, and some people are on the cusp of Caleb Williams, whether he's going to be a bust, whether he's going to be, a transcending quarterback, they may say. In my opinion, I think Caleb Williams is going to be a decent quarterback in the league. Right now, what's the threshold? How are we going to measure this? I would say that he's more or less probably going to be better than maybe Tua, um, Trevor Lawrence, right? I may even say like Geno Smith. Who else? Who else? Who else? Maybe Daniel Jones, even though he had a really good week. And I'm going to get into that also. And this is just me listening off about like a bunch of guys, right? So my fact of the matter is, though, I don't think the NFC is congested with all pro quarterbacks, right? So fact of the matter is where I'm getting at is I think that Caleb has a window of opportunity here. But, right, in the division that Caleb Williams is in, it's still competitive, right? Like, first and foremost, right, the team that they're going against today is a divisional game. So this is a game where Caleb Williams is going to need to make a statement win. There's no moral victories. Even though people throw that word around, they say, all right, moral victories, by losing close games. In the NFL, there's none of that, right? Nobody's going for that. Um, Especially in your sophomore year. Um, they expect adjustments. They expect more professionalism. They expect better decision making. They expect better quarterback play, right? And in my opinion, I don't think that Caleb Williams was an all bad quarterback. Even though there were some statements out there that said he was probably the worst quarterback that we played against and that they prepared for in that week when it came to studying film and comparing all the different quarterbacks that they were comparing to, right? Meaning that Caleb Williams was the worst quarterback that they had to prepare for. Now, this was an anonymous source. I think it's BS when they go down the anonymous source route, but I think Caleb Williams can be a decent quarterback. I think he can be better than what the Bears have seen at the quarterback position in a long time. Now, it's just completely dependent on how the Chicago Bears orchestrate a team around Chicago, around Caleb Williams, right? Now, I think that they did put a decent amount of weapons around Caleb last year, but we all knew there were some fumbles around coaching and certain play calls and late game scenarios and whatnot. And the Bears, I believe, lost a lot of games very close last year. So this year could be a different situation for the Bears, right? We don't know. We just know, right, that this is a new season, that the Chicago Bears have a new head coach, which is Ben Johnson, the former offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl winning champions, Philadelphia Eagles, right? So what's the prediction? What's going to go on for tonight's game? I am going to have the Minnesota Vikings winning this game. My bad. I'm going to have the Minnesota Vikings winning this game 24-21. I'm gonna keep it close. I'm gonna keep it about there. I'm being a little bit conservative. I know. I have it being a tight game. I think it's actually going to be a defensive game more or less, but I think some things slips through the cracks. It might even be lower. It might even be like maybe 18, 15. I might be shooting a little bit low, but hey, I'm saying it's a defensive game. Right now, we're going to go back into that because that game is going to start in 5 minutes, but I want to tap into some other games that did happen over the weekend and obviously yesterday, right? So the biggest game to take away from, right, is switch over the Ravens and the Bills. Now, this was a crazy effing game. I'm not gonna hold you, right? Like these teams were going back and forth to an extent in the fourth quarter. Now, for much of the game, it seemed, to be a little bit lopsided. It was trending in the Baltimore Ravens side. Derrick Henry was having a monster game. Lamar Jackson, nonetheless, was still doing what he usually does. But I think the biggest concerning thing with the Baltimore Ravens is the fact that they just could not stop the Bills necessarily. Now, they were able to make some big stops. They were able to make some big plays on the defensive end of the ball, but they still scored like 41 points unanswered, right? Or however way you want to put it, however much they were down in the fourth quarter. I mean, we kind of know what led to that point. Right now, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. I thought the game was over. I thought the Ravens had it done. The moment it was like 40 to 19. We thought the game was all over and done with. But as we all well know, in the NFL, the game ain't over till it's 0-0-0-0, right? And that was not the case for the Baltimore Ravens. They thought it was all in said and done until Derrick Henry fumbled the ball. Now, it really sucks to have to put it on Derrick Henry because he had such a monstrous game. He had such a great game, right? But that play killed him, man. That play killed them. And this is supposed to be a rematch of the playoff matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Now, we all know how that worked out last time. The Buffalo Bills beat the Ravens in a tight game with Mark Andrews dropping the ball to get the 2-point conversion, right? So this is one of those games that just puts Josh Allen over the top. And there's no other way to really look at it, in my opinion. I mean, we are already seeing the news and what's going down. Josh Allen already has a foothold or a head start, I may say, when it comes down to the MVP discussion. Right now, we still got a lot more football left in order for us to even stir up that conversation for it to have any sort of legitimacy. But Josh Allen just played a phenomenal game. Like whenever they were down in Orchard Park, like there was no doubt that the Bills were just in any way giving up in this game. And the Bills just improved. I feel like they improved offensively, if I'm being honest. Right now, the reason why I say that is because usually, the Bills, right, it's usually just being led by Josh Allen. The running game wasn't necessarily that strong, and to an extent, it really, in my opinion, came down to just Josh Allen having to make plays and extend plays and essentially give his wide receivers more opportunity. Now, if I'm wrong, you guys could debate that or elaborate a little bit more if you guys feel like you guys have a different opinion. But I believe that, the Bills had found something with Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman was having a fantastic game yesterday. He was making some big plays, right? And so that was ultimately keeping them in the game, right? And so it was a tough matchup. And this is just goes to show, like, if the Buffalo Bills can maintain this sort of play and this sort of consistency moving forward and just keep going down the season, going off hot, it looks like the AFC is going to be going through Buffalo, right? Because we all know Buffalo, they have, an easy schedule pertaining to their divisional competition, right? Because this is the old Tom Brady division, right? When who does he go against? He goes against the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Jets. Now, do any of us think these teams are going to beat the Buffalo Bills? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right? But this is the scenario. So I have them taking a division. Now it really just comes down to how many games that they win that puts them in ahead of the other competitors in the AFC, right? And so with that being said, with the Ravens, I didn't see the same old Ravens that we usually see. Punch you in the mouth sort of defense, right? We've typically always seen the Baltimore Ravens back in the day with Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, right? We've seen those sort of defenses from the Baltimore Ravens. But right now, the Baltimore Ravens seem to be a lot more of an offensive powerhouse, right? They can definitely score on you, but can they stop you? And that's a really important thing to take in when we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens here moving forward. Now, I think it was just a week one blunder, right? Given the fact that there were a lot of mistakes late in the game, giving the Buffalo Bills a lot more opportunity to come back and win this game. I don't think it's going to be that consistent, that bad of a play. And first and foremost, I think that you add on the playmaking and the per se the charisma of Josh Allen when it comes down to him making plays. That's a different conversation in and of itself. So, but it is important to notice and to take into factor, especially when you're talking about a team that you're going to be playing against in the near future. Right? If you guys want to update though, the Minnesota game, the Minnesota and the Chicago game is about to start here in a few minutes. They're just now doing the introduction. I'm going to be still talking about that and letting you guys know what's going down with that game also. So let me know what you guys think about this game, because this right here was just not it for the Baltimore Ravens. That was a bad loss, but it happens. It happens, right? Actually, who do they play next week? Let me see. Y'all can see it. All right, so next week they got the Browns. I think that's going to be a recovery game. The Lions, they take that game. The Chiefs, all right, so that's a game we got to pay attention to. Texans, Rams, Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, and then Steelers. Right, so not all that difficult in my opinion, because a lot of these games I feel like they could take. I don't feel like there's a lot of games where they're going to be pushed up against the wall. But then again, it's the NFL. We don't know, right? But I'm going to be taking this week by week with a lot of big teams, a lot of different playoff contenders, and we're going to get into the mix, right? So I want to get into another game yesterday that I felt like was really exciting to watch. Was the Jets and the Steelers. Right, so the Jets and the Steelers were one of the games that was playing in the 1 o'clock window. You guys are on the West Coast. It's about like 11 o'clock. And this was an exciting matchup to say the least, right? Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers, two quarterbacks playing against their former team. And it was an exciting one to watch. Justin Fields played phenomenal. I would know. I had him on my fantasy. I thought he had a lot of potential. I still think he has a lot of potential. Justin Fields is a good quarterback in my opinion. I don't think that he got a fair share. I think during the time during his rookie year, I think he was thrown out to the Wolves. And that I believe his first game was against the New England Patriots, right? A team that I think most people or a lot of people thought he was going to struggle with from the get-go, right? And so with Matt Nagy, Justin Fields didn't develop in the way that he should have, and obviously that ultimately cost him his job. That it wasn't convincing enough for the Bears to keep Justin Fields. And so we know how that worked out. They drafted Caleb Williams. Justin Fields went to the Steelers. And then there goes that story. And then we running with it, right? But Justin Fields, for the Jets in particularly, they had 100. They were one of the top rushing teams yesterday. They were rushing for about 180 yards, rushing on the ground. Justin Fields had a couple touchdowns. I think he had like 2, 3 touchdowns. I think maybe 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. And Aaron Rodgers, for the 40-year-old quarterback, have 4 touchdowns on the game yesterday to bring them back to win the game. And then we all know what happened with the last second play where the Jets needed the 4th. Justin Fields moved up in the pocket, threw it out to Garrett Wilson, and ultimately got thrashed after he caught the ball, and ultimately dropping the ball, and then that was it. That's the game, right? So what do I take away from this game? The Steelers is another team, even though they won that game, right? They're technically tied for the division right now with the Cincinnati Bengals, who got their first dub since 2021. That's another conversation. They still got to play better than what we saw. Their running game was not all that convincing. For a passing game or for a defense, right, that's also known for being the steel curtain, didn't show that much resolve pertaining to the level of competitive fervor that we're accustomed to. If you guys know what I mean. All right. So, but Austin was making plays. They were just plays being made all around, right? And so for the Steelers, I think they came out lucky in this game. I definitely think that they came out lucky in this game, but Jets did not go down without a fight. And so I think this is a lot more to do with the Jets than it is to do with the Steelers. Even though I do believe that Aaron Rodgers pulled them out of this game and the Steelers found a way to win, I think this has a lot more to do with the Jets because, right, the Jets have an upward battle really to get a hold of, right? I mean, I've already kind of took them out of the conversation to win the division, but, that's not to say the Jets defense, one, there's still a lot of potential on that side of the ball. And then 2, you get some electrifying plays from somebody like Justin Fields. And that's not to say, though, too, remember, Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson played together at Ohio State. So this is a familiar chemistry between the two. And you can see that, that they had that connection, right? So I think this is, very exciting to see for a team in the New York Jets to be able to witness, this type of play at the quarterback position, because normally this really isn't the case for the Jets. The Jets have never really taken this angle or this approach when it came to having somebody like Justin Fields at the quarterback position. So this is why I think it's a noticeable story to talk about Justin Fields in this matter, because there were a lot of things that were glamorous in that game, but my side, no moral victories, right? So even though the Jets, they didn't pull through, the Steelers got the win. I think the Jets have a very, very they have a lot to hold their head high about, right? So this game, going back to this game though, right, with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Bears, what are we gonna see from somebody like JJ McCarthy? Because I didn't talk about JJ McCarthy, right? JJ McCarthy, he's making his regular season NFL debut, right? And then so he's somebody that has a lot of weapons, and the Vikings did predominantly well last year against their schedule and against their conference. And then so I think JJ McCarthy's in a position to really eclipse a lot of QBs, or just the Vikings in general. They're in a good spot. They're definitely in a good spot, right? And so Man, this game about to start in any second now. My fault. I got quiet. All right, now going back to that, right? So, if you guys aren't familiar, JJ McCarthy was the starting quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines back when Jim Harbaugh was the head coach for the Michigan Wolverines, right? So, um, I was able to watch him play. I watch college football just like anybody else, and I think that JJ McCarthy has potential. Now, it's hard for me to say. I think really it's in that same ballpark as Caleb Williams, if I'm being honest, right? Because I don't want to put my eggs all up in one basket, just due to the fact that JJ McCarthy is just um or going back to Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, struggled against some teams last year. He did play really good. Don't get me wrong, and he did win a Heisman. But that second year, that year afterward, it wasn't really the best situation. It wasn't really convincing, right? But nonetheless, I think there's a lot of things with Caleb pertaining to talent that really stood out, and that's actually really positive for a franchise QB. But can he go through the motions? Can he get the right reads? Um, can he make the right plays, the right throws, right? And so I think today is going to be a battle, and it's going to be a huge test for both of these teams to see how what works out for them and what ultimately comes down to how they played, right? So hey, they just sang the anthem. So this game is about to start kicking any minute now. All right. All right. So let's go to this depressing ass conversation. The New York Giants. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Right. So New York Giants, a team that continuously uh, disappoints me, breaks my heart, uh, makes me go to bed shivering at night in the cold with no blanket and with no one to love me. This is what the Giants do, right? Um, that was probably one of the worst football games. I mean, the Giants have played a lot of bad football games in the past, but that was horrible to watch. I'm not gonna hold you. Honestly, I stopped watching it. I was mostly tuning into the Steelers and the Jets game. It was a lot more interesting. They scored more points. The Jets scored more points. Um, and the Giants offense, man, it's just we look like doo. Like we look like dog shit. I'm not gonna hold you. Damn, man. It's just depressing though because I know this was ultimately going to happen. With Russell Wilson, and we just don't have no line. How many times are we going to be dealing with this situation time and time and time and time again? Bro, I'm sick of this. And then I don't blame him, right? Like I would rather just have Russell Wilson take all the licks and blows and whatnot. My thing about it is, right, because it's where we go from here as Giants, as a Giants fan, as a Giants franchise, right? Now, I know that we have Jackson Dart. Yes, he looked good during the preseason. I wasn't convinced of him at first, but you know, different scenario, different story, right? I'm in the same boat as everybody else. I'm excited to see him play. I want to see him. I want to see him start, right? Um, and you know what? I'll even say this. That even goes for Brian Daboll, right? I think Brian Daboll should stay as a head coach because I'm tired of this whole thing where it's if the team ain't going well, fire the coach. But firing the coach doesn't bring, in my opinion, doesn't bring stability to the team. I think that if an NFL team is going to be consistent, if it's going to be um, successful, there has to be continuity uh, with uh, with the team and the personnel so that they can be successful, right? And so we got to see some improvements on that line. Nonetheless, that at the bare minimum, right? That's where we have to see results. I'm gonna take a little short break on that. Just letting you guys know that the game started between the Vikings and Bears. Vikings just got the ball first, and they just returned it. Now they're just on the 1st and 10, and about to kick off. Right, so right now they're on the 25-yard line. Okay, let's check this out. Okay. Little run by Aaron Jones. I did say his name right, by the way. A little 2 to 3 yard run. Nothing too crazy. A little slow game. So I'm gonna just continue back to what I was saying earlier. Um. They about to do it. No huddle. Okay. All right. Let's see what you got going on. They might have to call a timeout. Oh no, they going for it. Okay, play action. Throwing to Hutchinson. Okay, little short game. Yeah, so for the Giants, there was just nothing going for them. What they didn't score a single touchdown yesterday. They had one drive where they brought it in close in red zone, but the Commanders' defense was just looking. They revamped it for sure, right? We've seen them revamp that defense, and it showed that day. But was that a test? Was that a true test? Not really, because it was just the Giants' offense. 32 for the Minnesota Vikings. All right, McCarthy dropping back. Pressure. He just got a sack. Right. So, um, I'm waiting to see what's going to turn out for this for the Giants. My bad. For the Giants this year. Because we have a hard schedule. We have a hard ass schedule. You know what? Let me pull this up. We'll pull up our schedule. See if I can pull it up. Okay, y'all see it, right? So Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers. Like, bro, we already going 0-4. So the Chicago Bears right now they're getting on offense. Caleb Williams and the Bears are about to start kicking on their end. Let's see what. So 28 sacks after 5 seconds, the most in the NFL. So Caleb Williams took the most sacks after holding the ball for longer than 5 seconds. All right, so let's check out the shotgun. Okay, not too much pressure, decent enough. A little bit. DeAndre Swift caught the ball, little little gain on there, probably like a yard or two. But yeah, when you look at this schedule, like what's up with this? Like, does somebody hate the Giants? What's good, man? Like, am I wrong for pointing it out? Like, like Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, bro, we're going 0-5, 0-4. Like, we might beat the Saints. Oh, okay, okay. A little bit of improvising by Caleb Williams. He was about to get smacked though, but he had some really great footwork to avoid the sack, and then threw the ball out to the curl to DeAndre Swift and got a first down. But yeah, and I know with the Giants, we have Malik Neighbors. He was kind of complaining about not getting the sufficient amount of targets. And I even heard like Tom Brady was the one covering that game, like elaborating to the fact that when you're a star player, teams are going to key off on you. They're not going to give you those same opportunities because they know what you're capable of, right? And so uh, another first down by the Bears. And so, even with the Giants, I think that we have a lot of weapons. We just got to be a lot more competitive in on the line. We need, and noticeably, you can see that we were missing Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas was obviously hurt, and he was one of the biggest components to our line to be able to have any sort of movement. But going back into that, right, is the Indianapolis Colts versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Colts and the Dolphins was one of the games that I'm not gonna lie, shocked the hell out of me. I did not expect Daniel Jones to have damn near a career day. Um, Second and fourth, Bears still have the ball. Caleb under the center. It's about to be third and four. There was no gain on that play. Right, so Daniel Jones was looking like a franchise QB in that game yesterday. Um, that was probably like maybe a game that was reminiscent of his first ever start with the New York Giants when he played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And I believe what he had like 2 touchdowns in the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Third and five, Caleb Williams in the gun, and then they call a timeout. Right, so the Dolphins literally got thrashed. I think even though the Colts played really really well, and I think there's a lot to say about Daniel Jones and how he performed. I think it's a lot more to do with how the Miami Dolphins played yesterday. They looked like a soft team. It looked like they gave up. I don't think McDaniels is going to be long there for the Miami Dolphins as the head coach, right? And I think, to be honest, I think that's a lock. I think McDaniels being fired as the Miami Dolphins head coach is almost locked in. It's locked in at this point because I mean, you heard what I said earlier with the AFC East. I don't see them going anywhere. I don't see any of the teams going anywhere besides the Buffalo Bills. Is my point, right? Third and five, Browns. Okay. Caleb Williams running out. Oh, they make the play. Okay, Chicago just made a big play. Caleb Williams made a big throw. Adonze made a big play. Caleb Williams on the center, throwing it out to Shakise. I'm not gonna lie, this Bears offense is it's looking right now. I already might have been wrong with my prediction. All right, let me tune in. Let's tune in, man. Okay, the Vikings have sent some heat, and he's handled the pressure well. Caleb Williams making pass rushers miss, going through his reads. An area he struggled with at times last season. Chicago is quickly well into Minnesota territory. Williams is currently 4 for 4 for 27 yards as the Bears face 3rd and 5. That was the play. Prior to that, Caleb Williams made throwing it to Adonze to put them damn near in the red zone. Nothing much to really say about the Vikings 3 and out. A short run for Aaron Jones. J.J. McCarthy's first NFL completion to Josh Oliver sets 32. All right. Second and third. I'm more likely going to run the ball from here with DeAndre Swift, which they do. He tries to kick it out into the inside, and then the Vikings tackle him in the backfield. All right, so right now it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. That was a big stop, though. Vikings really packed the middle of the field. Didn't give him any opportunity. And you see, I called it too. I said they were going to go for a run. So now they're back in the gun. That might have been a false start. They didn't call it. Caleb Williams rolling out to the left. Got the first down. Touchdown. Caleb Williams 9-yard rush. Already got them up 6-0 above the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not gonna lie. So that was a good looking drive by Caleb. That was a really good looking drive by Caleb. Caleb really looked really good on that first drive. Now let's see how the Vikings react to this one. Very, very good looking drive. Let me see. Let me check out that play too. All right, so decent protection in the pocket. The whole left side of the field is just wide open. Wide open. Where's the containment? Was able to rush it in. There you go. No more. Chicago getting the lead up early. See what else, man? What else going on? What else going around the league? All right, so the Chiefs and the Chargers. Right? So we know how that game went down. The game that was happening in Brazil. Apparently, like 16 million people were watching in on that game. I think it probably might have been like what the or if one of the largest viewerships for an NFL game debut. Uh, yeah, I might have to fact check me on that one. Um, all right, so yeah, the Chiefs just weren't looking. They didn't look all that great in that game. If anything, I could say is that it's the Chargers, the one that looked fantastic, right? Justin Herbert was looking really great in that game. 300 yards passing in the air. The Chiefs weren't able to get any stops in that game, and I liked what I saw from the Chargers. They need to come out and beat a divisional rival that they've consistently struggled against, and so the Chargers came out and played and punched the Chiefs in the mouth. Right now, do I think it's over for the Chiefs? Obviously not, right? Like there's still a lot more to um, watch and a lot more to be speculative of. Ooh, big hit. And so the Chiefs just what can I really say about this game? I mean, like the reason why I struggle with certain things like this because I try to look at NFL, as the long game, because it is the long game. I don't really consider it. Um, I don't really consider it a lock or start to consider teams a lock for contention until like when things start to get cold, um, and when the middle of the season starts. So like around like October, mid or late October, I think that's when you can say like things are starting to look the way that they should. Justin Jefferson just got a handoff. He's the one of four to start a career with 5 straight 1,000 yards receiving seasons. I missed the names. All right, so second and 6, Vikings. I've noticed that the Vikings are doing a lot of audibles here, though.
Season when he missed 7 games, he had a right hamstring strain. He immediately told the training staff and they shut him down. He says both hamstrings feel good
Okay,
now.
34. Do the Bears get another stop?
Yeah, at least it'll be an ongoing maintenance issue. Now 3rd down and 4.
JJ McCarthy from the gun, motion left, pressure, another sack.
Just tripped up.
Yep, Bears is getting at him. They're getting at him.
Who was brought in by the front office to beef up the pass rush for Chicago. Well, as JJ McCarthy gets this football, he's trying to get the ball out to Justin Jefferson, but he stumbles coming off the line of scrimmage. And again, with the 4-man rush from the Chicago Bears, talking with Dennis Allen, he said he wasn't real sure what to expect of his pass rush. If they couldn't get there with 4, they'd start bringing more.
Hey, so Vikings are playing the ball. Honestly, this ain't looking right, bro.
Duvernay from inside the 20 to the 25. 7 yards.
All right, so Bears get the ball at 24, 25.
2 sacks, 2-3.
Caleb Williams about to get back on the field.
Second possession for Caleb, and the Bears offense coming up, leading by 7.
Week 2 of the NFL season kicks off with Thursday night.
All right, man.
8:15 p.m. Eastern on Prime Video. Stream games live on your mobile device with NFL Plus.
Look, if you're an executive, this shirt is a must-have in your closet. I was tired of fucking colors and shirts and sweatpants. So I got this shirt.
So
now I don't have to work. I got it.
going back to the Chiefs and Chargers game, do I think the Chiefs are going to recover? Are they going to get back to the AFC Championship? Are they going to get back to the Super Bowl? I think that's a tough question to answer right now. I definitely think that's a tough question to answer because of what I've stated earlier, right? One, they lost, so they're already on 1. And with that being said, right, like we got to see how they recover, and we got to see how they look moving forward. Because Xavier Worthy was also, he also got hurt in that game yesterday. And so we need to kind of reevaluate the Chiefs here moving forward because, the Chiefs have struggled with making plays down the field. And losing somebody like Xavier Worthy is going to be something that they've, that's hurt them or is going to hurt them at the wide receiver spot, given the fact that Rashid Rice is also being suspended, due to his circumstances. So we're going to see how this works out for him, man. We are going to see how it all plays out. But I think the Chiefs have nothing to worry about. I just think that the AFC West is just it's going to be a tougher one. It's going to be a tougher game for the Chiefs because we all know that the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh is playing to win, right? His brother, just in that competitive sense, right? He's not going to let his brother outdo him or outshow him and get all the playoff contentions, Super Bowl contentions, Coach of the Years positions. Like, I could see some competitiveness going on in that end. The Bears are going back into this. The Bears are back at it on offense. Caleb Williams dropping back, play action, throws to DeAndre Swift, and back at the line of scrimmage.
Good play by Andrew Van Ginkel.
All right, let me reload this. I'm pretty sure this is refreshed.
And that's what happens when you got a defensive coordinator who's giving you different looks. It's hard to kind of get settled in early in a ball game, and yet when he hasn't
I'm gonna look at some stats here that might have stuck out yesterday. Caleb Williams dropping back from the gun. Caleb Williams is making plays here tonight. And I'm not going to hold you. Like, Caleb Williams' pocket awareness, his footwork in the pocket has gotten increasingly better. Like, he is.
Caleb starts to try to escape the pocket, feels the opening right in front of him, and takes it. And you can only imagine.
Like, he's making quick and decisive decisions.
Caleb's mind, because early in a game, when you're playing against a defense that can really rush the passer,
fastest ball carriers.
But it's still, the speed of the game is really fast in the opening quarter against great rushers. And here is to DJ Moore, and we will see some of this during the course of the season.
DJ Moore was getting the ball off from the backfield.
A gain of 5, second down coming up. Last year, there was some discussion about like Amon-Ra St. Brown, but even he, when he lined up in the backfield, he didn't do it a whole lot. About 15 times during the season, and even with DJ Moore getting some work in training camp, I can't imagine they're going to major in a lot of that, even though the running back position got pretty beat up with some injuries in camp coming into this year.
False start.
Back with Darnell Wright.
Where's the Bears?
False start. Number 58 offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down. That's Alan Eck, our referee tonight.
I still for remarkable rushes. Travis Etienne. He had 71. No.
He's not going to tolerate that.
Rushing yards over expected 66. Derrick Henry, obviously he had a great game.
Good protection again. Time runs out. That's the rookie Lovell. The former Michigan Wolverine.
He just came out with that one.
In this past draft gets 8. Third and short. So they're trying to work this side here. DJ Moore is going to go to the corner, and they get the too high look with the safety. So that's the hole in that zone, and he just doesn't quite turn it loose. So Caleb's done a lot of really great things, but there's been opportunity for some bigger plays if he gets a good pre-snap read and knows exactly where the design of the play is taking him.
Quick throw is low and away. Lindsay makes the catch, but he is tackled immediately by Isaiah.
The Bears just had a 3 and out. All right, though. I'm going to take it easy here now. I know I've been a little bit inconsistent with the streams. But I'm going to tune back to the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, because I think this could potentially be a good one. I'm going to be tapping in back with you guys after this game to talk about, what went down, things of that nature, and just, speak more about the game, But if you guys are watching, thank you guys for tapping into Cash Media. I hope you guys come back here soon. Just if you guys so kindly, just hit the like and subscribe. It don't cost nothing. I would appreciate that. And I hope to tap in with you guys soon again in the future. Have a good one.